Welcome to Armchair Archaeology. Warfare has always been a key force in shaping human history, evolving from simple skirmishes into grand-scale battles that determined the fate of entire civilizations. But how did we progress from basic spears to massive siege engines capable of toppling fortress walls? In today's video, we'll explore the fascinating evolution of warfare, from the earliest weapons to the groundbreaking innovations that redefined combat strategies. Stay with us until the end, because we'll reveal a surprising fact about a medieval siege engine that might change how you view the brutality of ancient warfare. Warfare began in humanity's earliest days, where survival often meant conflict over resources and territory. Early weapons were rudimentary, primarily consisting of sticks, stones, and sharpened wooden spears, tools that doubled as hunting instruments. These simple weapons were effective in small skirmishes, where agility and brute force were more important than strategy or discipline. Early warfare was chaotic, with loosely organized groups clashing in close combat, relying heavily on personal strength and basic tactics. As human societies grew more complex, so did the nature of conflict. Tribes began crafting more specialized weapons like clubs and throwing spears, and they developed early forms of armor from animal hides and woven materials. These changes marked the shift from spontaneous brawls to more calculated conflicts, laying the groundwork for military innovations to come. This period marks the dawn of organized violence, where basic principles of warfare, offense, defense, and tactics started to emerge. These early conflicts, though primitive, were the first steps toward the sophisticated strategies and technologies that would dominate later eras. The evolution of these early weapons set humanity on a path of relentless innovation in the art of war, proving that even the simplest tools could shape history's course. The Bronze Age, roughly spanning from 3300 to 1200 BCE, marked a pivotal moment in the evolution of warfare, as societies discovered the ability to smelt and forge metal. Bronze, an alloy of copper and tin, was stronger and more durable than stone, leading to the creation of advanced weapons like swords, daggers, and spearheads. These new weapons dramatically increased the lethality of combat and transformed battlefields across the ancient world. The introduction of bronze weapons also gave rise to professional warrior classes, as military skills became more specialized. Armies organized into structured formations, where discipline and strategy began to play a crucial role. Leaders like the pharaohs of Egypt and the kings of Mesopotamia commanded large, organized armies equipped with bronze weapons, shields, and armor, capable of both defending their realms and launching ambitious campaigns of conquest. The Bronze Age also witnessed the construction of fortified cities, requiring new siege techniques and defensive strategies. The need to protect valuable resources and trade routes prompted the development of complex fortifications, which in turn led to innovations in siege warfare. Control of metal resources became a key factor in a civilization's military power, influencing the rise and fall of kingdoms. This period of technological advancement laid the foundation for the next great leap in military technology and tactics, which would come with the Iron Age and the emergence of even more powerful empires. The Bronze Age revolutionized warfare, setting the stage for the complex military strategies and large-scale conflicts that would define the ancient world. The introduction of chariots was a significant turning point in ancient warfare, bringing speed and tactical flexibility to the battlefield. First developed by the Sumerians around 3000 BCE and later refined by the Egyptians, chariots were lightweight, horse-drawn vehicles that allowed armies to move quickly and strike with precision. These early vehicles revolutionized combat by enabling rapid maneuvers and powerful charges that could disrupt enemy formations. Chariots had a profound impact on ancient military tactics. The Egyptians, for instance, became masters of chariot warfare, designing their chariots for maximum speed and maneuverability. Typically, each chariot was manned by 2 soldiers, one to drive and the other to wield weapons like bows or spears. This combination of speed and firepower made chariots ideal for outflanking enemy forces and delivering decisive blows. One of the most famous uses of chariots was at the Battle of Kadesh around 1274 BCE, where thousands of chariots clashed in what is considered one of the largest chariot battles in history. The sheer scale of this engagement highlighted the strategic importance of chariots in controlling the battlefield and influencing the outcome of wars. Chariots also had a psychological impact, as the sight and sound of a charging chariot force could cause panic among infantry, leading to routs before the battle even began. While the dominance of chariots was eventually challenged by advancements in cavalry and infantry tactics, their influence on ancient warfare was undeniable. The chariot symbolizes a period when speed and mobility revolutionized how battles were fought, allowing armies to achieve strategic advantages that were previously impossible. Its legacy can be seen in the continued importance of mobility and maneuverability in military strategy throughout history. The Phalanx formation was a groundbreaking military tactic that emerged in ancient Greece around the 7th century BCE. It was a tight, rectangular mass of heavily armed infantry soldiers known as hoplites, who stood shoulder to shoulder, each holding a long spear and a large shield. This formation created an almost impenetrable wall of spears and shields, moving as a single, cohesive unit, which gave the Greeks a significant advantage in battle. The Phalanx's strength lay in its unity and discipline. Each hoplite's shield protected not only himself, but also his neighbor, creating a strong, interlocked barrier against enemy attacks. This required incredible coordination and trust among soldiers, as the success of the formation depended on each man holding his position, even under intense pressure. The Phalanx allowed relatively small forces to hold off much larger armies, as it minimized the effectiveness of enemy weapons and reduced the likelihood of breaking ranks. The Phalanx was particularly effective in open field battles, where its rigid structure could be maintained. Battles like Marathon and Thermopylae showcased the Phalanx's power, where the Greeks, though often outnumbered, managed to repel larger forces through discipline and tactical brilliance. The psychological impact of facing a well-trained Phalanx was significant, as enemies often found themselves unable to break through its defenses, leading to demoralization and retreat. However, the Phalanx had its limitations. Its rigidity made it vulnerable to flanking maneuvers, and it was less effective in rough or uneven terrain, where maintaining the formation was difficult. Despite these weaknesses, the Phalanx remained a dominant tactic in Greek warfare for centuries, influencing military formations across the Mediterranean and setting the stage for future tactical innovations by empires like Rome. The Roman Empire's military success was built on its ability to innovate, adapt, and organize. Central to this success was the Roman legion, a highly flexible and well-structured military unit that replaced the more rigid phalanx used by earlier armies. The Roman legion was divided into smaller units called centuries, each consisting of about 80 men. This structure allowed the Romans to be more adaptable on the battlefield, quickly responding to changing conditions. Roman soldiers, known as legionaries, were equipped with a variety of weapons that reflected the empire's emphasis on both offense and defense. The gladius, a short, double-edged sword, was ideal for close-quarters combat, while the pilum, a heavy javelin, could be thrown to disrupt enemy formations before the Romans closed in for hand-to-hand fighting. The iconic rectangular shield, or scutum, offered excellent protection and was used in various formations, including the famous testudo, or tortoise formation, which provided cover from missiles during sieges. In addition to their innovative weapons, the Romans were pioneers in siege warfare. They developed a range of siege engines, such as the ballista, a large crossbow-like weapon capable of hurling heavy projectiles over long distances, and the onager, a type of catapult used to smash through walls. These machines allowed the Romans to effectively lay siege to enemy cities, expanding their empire with unmatched efficiency. Roman military engineering extended beyond the battlefield. The construction of roads, fortifications, and military camps, castra, ensured that their armies could move quickly and maintain supply lines, giving them a significant logistical advantage over their enemies. This combination of strategic planning, technological innovation, and disciplined execution made the Roman legions one of the most formidable fighting forces in history, influencing military tactics for centuries to come. As the Middle Ages progressed, warfare increasingly centered around sieges, as fortified castles and walled cities became the primary centers of power. To conquer these strongholds, medieval armies developed a variety of siege engines, massive machines designed to breach the formidable defenses of castles and cities. Among these, the trebuchet, battering ram, and catapult were the most feared and effective. The trebuchet, often considered the pinnacle of medieval siege technology, operated on a counterweight system that allowed it to hurl large projectiles, such as boulders, firepots, or even diseased carcasses, over great distances with remarkable accuracy. This made it a devastating weapon against fortified walls, capable of smashing through stone and wood with ease. The psychological impact of a trebuchet attack was also significant, as defenders knew that their walls could be breached at any moment. The battering ram, another essential siege weapon, was designed to break through gates or walls, typically consisting of a large, reinforced log suspended from a wheeled frame. The battering ram could deliver powerful blows to a castle's defenses. Operators were often protected by a mobile shed known as a tortoise, covered with wet hides to resist fire. The relentless pounding of a battering ram could weaken even the strongest gates, paving the way for an assault. Catapults, similar to trebuchets but using tension or torsion for propulsion, were versatile siege engines that could be quickly constructed on site. They were used to launch a variety of projectiles, from large stones to incendiaries, aimed at weakening walls or creating chaos within a besieged city. These siege engines were not just tools of destruction. They were symbols of the growing sophistication and engineering prowess of medieval armies. The development and deployment of these machines transformed medieval warfare, shifting the focus from open-field battles to the strategic process of laying siege to fortified strongholds. The innovations of this era laid the groundwork for the next evolution in warfare, as the introduction of gunpowder weapons would soon revolutionize the battlefield once again. Cavalry units emerged as a decisive force on medieval battlefields, dramatically altering the dynamics of warfare. Mounted warriors, armed with lances, swords, and sometimes bows, brought speed, mobility, and overwhelming power to combat. The rise of cavalry marked a shift from slower, infantry-dominated warfare to a more fluid and aggressive style of fighting, where rapid maneuvers could determine the outcome of a battle. One of the most iconic forms of medieval cavalry was the knight. Clad in heavy armor and mounted on powerful war horses, knights were the elite soldiers of their time. Their armor provided significant protection against most weapons, while their horses gave them the ability to charge at incredible speeds, delivering devastating blows to enemy lines. The lance charge, in particular, became a hallmark of knightly combat, capable of breaking through infantry formations and causing widespread panic among foot soldiers. Cavalry also played a crucial role in reconnaissance, skirmishing, and pursuing fleeing enemies. Their ability to move quickly across the battlefield allowed commanders to exploit weaknesses in enemy lines, execute flanking maneuvers, and rapidly respond to changing situations. This flexibility made cavalry indispensable in both offensive and defensive operations, and their presence on the battlefield often dictated the tactics employed by both sides. However, the dominance of cavalry was not absolute. Terrain played a significant role in their effectiveness. Dense forests, marshes, or steep hills could neutralize their advantages, forcing them to dismount and fight on foot. Moreover, the rise of organized infantry formations and the development of polearms, such as pikes and halberds, provided effective counters to cavalry charges. Infantrymen, trained to hold their ground against a cavalry charge, could turn the tide of battle, as seen in conflicts like the Battle of Bannockburn in 1314, where Scottish infantry successfully repelled English knights. Despite these challenges, cavalry remained a powerful and prestigious component of medieval armies. The image of the armored knight charging fearlessly into battle continues to symbolize the chivalric ideals and martial prowess of the medieval warrior elite. The introduction of gunpowder to Europe in the late Middle Ages marked the beginning of the end for the dominance of the knight on the battlefield. Gunpowder weapons, such as cannons and early firearms like arquebuses, revolutionized warfare by rendering traditional armor and fortifications increasingly ineffective. This technological shift dramatically altered the nature of combat and the structure of armies. Cannons were among the first gunpowder weapons to make a significant impact. Capable of demolishing the thick stone walls of castles and city fortifications, cannons made siege warfare more brutal and efficient. No longer could a fortress simply rely on its walls for defense. With the threat of cannon fire, attackers could breach previously impregnable defenses in a matter of hours or days, rather than weeks or months. Firearms, though initially slow and cumbersome, eventually became more reliable and easier to use. The arquebus, a precursor to the musket, could penetrate the heavy armor worn by knights, making it a deadly equalizer on the battlefield. As firearms became more widespread, the heavily armored knight, once the symbol of medieval warfare, found himself increasingly vulnerable. Armor that could stop an arrow or sword blow was no match for a bullet. This shift led to the gradual decline of the knightly class and the rise of professional infantry. Armies began to rely more on large numbers of soldiers equipped with firearms rather than small groups of elite knights. The battlefield became less about individual heroics and more about massed firepower and disciplined formations. The impact of gunpowder extended beyond the battlefield. It also influenced the design of fortifications, leading to the development of star forts with angled bastions designed to deflect cannon fire. These changes signaled the end of the medieval period and the beginning of a new era in warfare, one where technology and innovation would dictate the future of combat. As gunpowder weapons like cannons advanced, the design of fortifications evolved to counter these new threats. The tall, thick stone walls of medieval castles, which once provided formidable defense against siege engines, were no match for the destructive power of cannon fire. This realization led to a dramatic shift in fortification design during the Renaissance. To withstand cannon attacks, military engineers developed the Tres Italienne, or star fort. These forts featured lower, thicker walls made of earth and stone designed to absorb and deflect cannonballs. The most innovative feature was the angled bastions that projected outward from the main walls. These bastions allowed defenders to cover all approaches with overlapping fields of fire, eliminating blind spots and making it extremely difficult for attackers to breach the defenses. In addition to the new wall design, star forts included wide, deep ditches and sloped earthen ramparts, which further protected against artillery. Attackers were forced to navigate through a deadly network of obstacles while being targeted by defenders. The evolution of these fortifications effectively neutralized many of the advantages that cannons initially provided to besieging armies, leading to longer and more complex sieges. This period marked a transition from the medieval era of towering castles to a new age of military architecture. The innovations in fortification design reflected the ongoing arms race between offensive and defensive technologies, illustrating how advancements in warfare continuously shaped the strategies and tactics of the time. These changes laid the groundwork for modern fortification concepts and demonstrated the relentless drive to adapt in the face of new military challenges. As promised, it's time to uncover a surprising and somewhat gruesome aspect of medieval siege warfare: the Trebuchet. One of the most powerful and iconic siege engines, was not only used to hurl heavy stones at enemy walls, but also played a darker role in early biological warfare. Trebuchets were capable of launching massive projectiles over great distances with remarkable accuracy, making them ideal for breaking down the walls of fortified cities and castles. However, in some sieges, commanders took the use of trebuchets to a terrifying new level by loading them with disease-ridden corpses or carcasses. The intention was to spread disease and panic among the defenders, weakening their resolve and forcing them to surrender. One of the most infamous instances of this tactic occurred during the 1346 siege of Kaffa, a Genoese-controlled city in the Crimea. Mongol forces, besieging the city and suffering from an outbreak of the plague, catapulted the infected bodies of their dead over the city walls. This act is believed by some historians to have helped spread the Black Death into Europe, contributing to one of the deadliest pandemics in human history. The use of trebuchets in this manner highlights the brutal and psychological dimensions of medieval warfare. It wasn't just about physical destruction. It was also about breaking the enemy's spirit by any means necessary. This tactic, while horrifying by modern standards, underscores the lengths to which medieval armies would go to achieve victory, revealing the darker side of the ingenuity behind siege warfare. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the evolution of warfare, from the earliest weapons to the mighty siege engines that shaped the course of history. We've seen how each advancement, from the chariots of ancient civilizations to the gunpowder weapons of the late Middle Ages, transformed not just the battlefield, but entire societies. These innovations in military technology and tactics reflect humanity's relentless drive to conquer and defend, to protect and dominate. If you enjoyed this exploration, we invite you to support Armchair Archaeology by giving this video a thumbs up and subscribing for more captivating dives into history's most fascinating developments. Don't forget to hit the notification bell to stay updated on our latest content. We'd love to hear from you. What other aspects of ancient or medieval warfare would you like us to explore next? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Until our next adventure, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep the flame of curiosity burning bright.